So I'm also an advocate for
We're
post-traumatic.
recording, by the way.
Okay, I'm an advocate for post-traumatic stress disorder
Are you?
and the awareness of it. I deal with a non-profit organization called Military Minds, and what we do is we bridge the gap between the wounded veteran or the wounded soldier and government services. In a lot of cases, there's a stigma that's attached to PTSD. People think you're crazy. They think you're going to rage and you're going to destroy stuff. And they have this 1970s Vietnam War era stereotype of these guys that are out of control. And the reality is that's not the case. I've got PTSD. I've had it for 22 years.
Really?
Yeah. It can be managed. I mean, you carry a lot of stuff with you. I mean, obviously, when you've witnessed entire villages that have been slaughtered, you take that stuff away with you. It doesn't go away. So when these kids now are coming back from Afghanistan, I don't want them to go through what we went through. We had no services when I got out. There was nothing. It was a handshake and we'll see you Monday morning.
Yeah.
That was it. There was no debrief. There was no cool down. You were just, this is the way I coin it. Before we left on Friday night, we're petting the wife, or petting the dog.
Petting the wife.
Petting the wife.
I remember that going on.
You're
like the way you
petting
think.
the dog, playing with the kids, and kissing the wife.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, you're up to your eyeballs in blood and guts and killing. 7 months later, on Friday night, you're up to your eyeballs in blood and guts and killing, and Saturday morning, you're petting the dog, playing with the kids, and kissing the wife. And you're supposed to be normal.
How does that?
It doesn't happen.
What is the journey then?
Yeah. So the stigma that's attached to that, we are trying to break down by creating awareness about PTSD and how it's not as debilitating as as being led on. I mean, a lot of guys, it is very debilitating. They can't work. They spend time in clinics like Homewood, which deals with very severe cases where they've got possible drug addiction as well, and just dealing with PTSD itself. So we're that middle ground where the soldier can come to us because we get it. We've been there. We're still there, and he can go, "This is what's happening to me. Do I have PTSD?" Well, yeah, you probably do, but we're not going to give you a diagnosis. That's not our job. But we're glad that you've reached out to us, and now we'll put you on to the next step. So we'll get you the services you need to get you set up with finding the proper help.
So it's support. It's a support mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. And the government has failed on that level. They're trying now somewhat to follow our lead, because that's what we are. Military Minds is the leader in PTSD awareness. That's a reality, because we're not just Canadian, we're global already.
Really? And you started this?
No, I didn't start this. Chris Dupuy, who is from the same unit as I am, only years later, he's the founder of Military Minds.
And Canadian?
Here in Canada, yeah. And what he did was, it started out as an idea to find jobs for soldiers that were getting out. And then it morphed into this thing dealing with PTSD, because guys were having troubles getting jobs and they couldn't figure out why. So here we are. So now we're trying to create awareness about PTSD. And I say we're global because we have 16 administrators within our group, within this organization. They're from England, Australia, the US, and here.
Really?
Yeah. And we have input from Norway, Sweden, Holland, Germany, the list goes on, because all of those countries had contingents in Afghanistan and Iraq. So, and in the U.S., this is a technical, a statistic. Right now it's quoted that 22 veterans in the U.S. kill themselves every day. 22 a day. And that's horrific. And it's because they're not getting the services. They're not being met. Here in Canada, between 1995 and 2005, we had 106 soldiers kill themselves.
That's it.
Well,
I mean, it's still 106.
It's 106.
That's a week in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, and this is what they don't give you. Yes, 106 military people killed themselves in that 10-year stretch. What they don't tell you is about the guys that have gotten out. Once you release, you're no longer considered a military death. You're just a civilian death. It doesn't get registered as a veteran PTSD death. You just become a civilian death. That's it. So it's not even registered. You know, I've had a dozen guys from my tour alone have taken their lives. Now, there was 250 of us.
Really?
Yeah. And 12 of them have taken their lives. So you think of the percentage of that. You know, when we go to the military, we're trained at a high level. And before we even get there, we go through stringent testing to get in. And you're held at that higher level the whole time that you're there. Well, the depression rate in the Canadian military is 6 times higher, or 600% higher than the Canadian national average. 6 times, 600% higher than normal. So that's really that's a benchmark for the suicide rate.
It's an embarrassing benchmark.
It is.